Hey, it's Megan. It's time for another vlog, and I thought it would be a good way to wrap up my marathon training vlogs to do a lessons from my marathon vlog. So this is on the lessons that I learned while running the marathon, and I'll put them below as well just so you can look at them. But my first lesson was prepare for all weather conditions. As I said in my recap, it was quite warm down in Florida when I ran. I think the biggest issue was that it was such a drastic temperature change from what I had been training in. You know, I'd been training in 30-degree weather or even colder, and then it was very, very high humidity and warmer temperatures. So looking back, I probably could have done more treadmill runs or runs in the gym to try to mimic that temperature change, but you know, I like running outside, so it happens and it's okay, and I finished and it's fine. But preparing for all weather conditions was a lesson that I learned. Another one was about fueling. I put it in my recap that honestly I didn't take in a whole lot of fuel, and it's not because I wasn't thinking about fueling. My body just felt like it didn't need it, and I think again it was the heat. I took, throughout the 26 miles, I had a package of sport beans and 2 bananas, and that's it. And before, while I had been training during my 18 milers, I had needed more than that. So I know it was definitely the heat. I was taking in a lot more Powerade than normal. Usually I can't take Powerade while I'm running, but with the heat I knew I had to. So that I'm sure was accounting for some of it as well. But proper fueling is something that I am going to be working on through my training cycle for 2013 for this year. Another one is listen to your body. I didn't really have a problem with this throughout the run, but with it being warmer, it was very important for all of us to be listening to our bodies. One area that we noticed it was when we needed an extra walk break. We slowed down, took the extra walk break, and let our bodies recover. This was very evident, I want to say, in the last probably 5 to 6 miles, and it was because we had been running so long that there was virtually no shade. So that was, the sun was beating down on us, we were already hot, and then we had no shade, and so we did take some extra walk breaks, and we were listening to our body. Never did we feel lightheaded or dizzy or, sweating profusely or any of the signs of heat exhaustion. So I know that we were doing things right. And I'm very, very, very thankful for that. The wall. Everybody had been telling me about the dreaded wall during the marathon. And I never felt it. I never saw it coming. Nothing. There was no wall. It was non-existent. So the wall isn't so scary. It doesn't have to be. I think it was that we paced ourselves properly, we listened to our bodies. I never felt it. And, sometimes it makes me a little scared that if I go faster I'm going to feel it, but I think if you properly train and you listen to your body, you know what? That wall might not come, and good for me. I was worried and it never appeared, and so it's not so scary after all. So don't worry about the wall. Another lesson, sometimes your goals go out the window, and that's okay. I had a goal in mind, and my training, like I said, did not go quite as planned. A lot of it's because of Michigan weather. One bad thing about marathon weekend is that your long runs happen during Christmas, and as I'm sure a lot of you know, Christmas is crazy. Crazy, crazy time. So my training hadn't gone so well, the weather was going to be warm, and so yes, I still had that time goal in the back of my head, but right around, I want to say, mile 18 or 20, we knew the time goal was gone. And you know what? It was okay. We just wanted to make sure we had one foot in front of the other, and we were going to cross that finish line with no injuries, no bodily damage, no heat exhaustion. So, yes, was it tough to watch my time goal go by when it happened? Absolutely. But I think that only charged me and got me excited more about a second one. And I had been kind of planning a second one in my head before I ran in Disney, and that just, missing my time goal just fueled the fire and made me want to do another one. And so I think it was a good thing. it was a really, really good thing that the time goal did go out the window. Another lesson was remember why you're doing this. And I saw multiple signs that said that along the course, and it took a lot not to get choked up. I'm gonna hopefully make it through this without crying. But I think that that's important too. You know, my reason was different than what your reason will be. You know, my reason was, you know, partially to do this for myself, to show myself that you can put anything you put your mind to. I was also, like I said before, running it in honor of my grandfather who passed away. And that was my reason, and that's what kept me going, and that's what, you know, head to the floor, well, not the floor, but I mean, you know, head down, I'm gonna do this. And I think it's important to have that, something you can go back to. You can keep, you know, a mantra going or whatever it is. You need to have that reason as to why you're doing it. And, you know, that helped tremendously, and I think it's important for, you know, you to have that and that be what pushed you through. My next lesson is walk breaks are okay for now. You know, a lot of people asked if I did walk, and I did. You know, we did the intervals. We decided that we were going to do that right off the bat. You know, personally, I was okay with it for this race. You know, Disney's fun. It was my first one. I just wanted to go out and do it. Do I want that for my second one? Honestly, no. You know, reality, yes, there will be some walk breaks, I'm sure, but my goal is to not have it be the intervals. You know, we'll see how training goes. Obviously, there's a lot of things that come into play, but I know for my half marathon goal, walk breaks, the only ones I can see myself taking are to drink some water, because I have not mastered the drinking and running thing yet, but my goal is not to have hardly any walk breaks for half, and as few as possible for the fall. So, you know, I think I love Jeff Galloway. I love the interval thing. I think it's fantastic. And I know that so many people do wonderfully with it. And, you know, it helps people get out there who normally wouldn't, or wouldn't think it was possible to. So I think it's great. My personal goal is to try to run more, and not put those walk breaks in. But again, you know, I'm open to it. Obviously, I did it for the marathon, so I'm open to it. We'll see. We'll see what happens, you know. When something gets ingrained in my head, sometimes it's hard not to go all out for it. So we'll see what happens. My next lesson was having a running buddy is crucial. I live in a very small town. I don't have many running buddies. I do a lot of, actually I want to say like 98% of my training is alone. So that being said, you know, I was a little worried about running with someone, but I'd done it in some other races. You know, I did with my cousin. I had for a couple other races, so I'm like, okay, you know, I know what it's like to run with somebody else. And thankfully, Scott was the same pace as me. And I think that was huge. You know, we were able to run together. We had talked about it, our intervals, you know, we'd just been discussing things beforehand, and having, you know, I'll be honest, did we talk? Yeah, but I mean, we didn't talk that much, in all honesty. But knowing that he was there meant a lot to me. I'm like, okay, I've got a support system. And we pushed each other when we needed to push each other. Were we always in sync? No, because my breakdown started to happen a lot faster than his did, and I think it was the temperature change. But then, you know, I was ready to go. I'd kind of perked up, and then he was slowing down. You know, we weren't always in sync, but that was okay, and I think it was good for us. You know, he helped back me up, or helped me back off when I needed to, and he helped push me when I needed pushed. So, I mean, it worked itself out. You know, and we laughed about stuff throughout the course. I heard a rumor that, well, he was in charge of the timing. Let's start with that. He had the timer, so he was in charge of the 3 minutes run, 1 minute walk, and thank goodness, because my Garmin decided it wasn't going to do it. So he was in charge of that, so I was constantly listening for him, you know, listening for the beeps on when to start walking and when to start running. And I heard a rumor that towards the end of the race, he wasn't doing the timing right. I don't know how true that rumor is, but let's be honest, I wasn't complaining. So anyways, you know, and that's stuff we can laugh about now, and you know, we've got a redemption race coming, and I'm excited that I have somebody to run with, and I have someone to experience it with, and you know, now it's gonna be, I'm gonna find running buddies in my town, because it's hard not to run with someone now that I have. So, you know, it's helping me branch out, and that's a good thing. Alright, and my last lesson is that your supporters mean the world to you. And I can't thank all of my supporters enough. They pushed me through training, they pushed me through my race, and they were so congratulatory when I finished. My husband especially, he has been there for all my training runs, and he has been there to, you know, get me ice when I needed it, or to fill my belly when I needed it. And you know, he came, and he, you know, stood around on his feet for hours and took pictures of me, and you know, he's been there for every race, and that's amazing in and of itself. But you know, he's been a huge supporter. My parents, his parents, you know, again, just great support. You know, they all think I'm crazy, but they still support me. Other family, you know, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, friends, just, like I said, huge support. When I put that picture on Facebook showing that I had finished the marathon, the comments, you know, just came out of nowhere, and they made me feel pretty good. Another huge supporter has been Krista. She led the cheer squad at the race, and you know, she was there not only to see me, but obviously more importantly to see her husband finish the Goofy. And you know, Brent and Krista, you made us feel really good. You know, we barely saw you as we went through Cinderella's castle, but you know, you're at the finish line, and that really meant a lot. You know, I was coming down the straightaway, we saw the finish line, and my husband's up in the stands and waving his arm. He's not that hard to find when he's 6'6", and you know, I waved right back at him, and he's like, you know, you looked really happy. And I was. And, you know, I crossed that finish line, and tears came rolling, and they're gonna come now because I'm reliving it. Because I knew my grandpa was there. And, you know, I was about to break down, and I told Brent to let Scott know that it was very possible I was gonna break down, and then Krista was right at the end. Thank goodness she was there, because I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't seen her and smiled. And but you know, it was neat to have him be there and Krista be there, and you guys have been a huge support, and I just want to thank you. You know, I finished my first marathon, and that's pretty exciting, and my grandpa would be proud. So sorry. My grandpa would be proud, and that means the most. And now I've got some spring training coming up. Coach Brian's got a plan for me, and I'll have more on that later. But you know, we're working towards the goal of sub 2 hour half, and I don't want to say redemption, but it kind of is redemption for another marathon, but a better time. And I'm excited, and I want to thank all of you for being so supportive as well. Don't think you guys didn't cross my mind throughout the race too, but those are my lessons. And if you guys have any questions, please, you know, feel free to email me. I'm gonna do a post on reader questions.